Most runners own multiple pairs of shoes, but they still choose the wrong ones 90% of the time. Your shoes might be making you slower, weaker, and more injury prone. And the goal isn't comfort, it's adaptation. And today we're going to go through which shoes to wear when, how to reduce your risk of injury, and also how to get faster and stronger in your running by choosing the right shoes. Now, I've been an endurance athlete for over 16 years, and during that time, that whole time, I've never had a soft tissue injury from training. I've had a couple of bike crashes and things like that, but we won't talk about those. Now, I really do think that the type of shoes that you wear are super, super important. Now, I've been able to get so much strength and conditioning out of my running from choosing the right shoes, and also performance gains on race day, again, from choosing different type of shoes. And the important two elements for me are that reduced risk of injury, just from making sure that we're wearing the right shoes and also managing the use of them as well, but then also making sure that my running form is on point as well. If we choose the wrong pair of shoes, that can heavily impact your performance, it can heavily impact your gains in training, and it can also cause you serious injuries. So let's get stuck into the whys, the whats, and see if we can help your running. So I'm going to get stuck into the first shoe. Now, this is my everyday trainer. This is the one I use for majority of runs, my moderately easy runs, my endurance runs, and sometimes my recovery runs as well. These are the ones that are going to help me get fitter, they're going to improve my form, and that is because they don't have a carbon plate, they don't have much cushioning, and it's going to improve my running economy by building my running form. So one thing that we need to think about and consider is when we put on performance shoes, ones with a carbon plate, ones that have got heaps of cushioning, basically you're then asking the shoe to do the performance for you. You're asking the shoe to take that impact, you're asking the shoe to propel you and bounce you forward. That's not ideal if we want to get gains out of training. So for me, this is the one that I go to. There's not too much of a heel to toe drop, and that's the distance that it drops from heel to toe. So if we have a very minimal drop, we'll have something that's very, very thin along the sole here. Basically no cushioning whatsoever. Again, these are really good for conditioning, building strength, building your running economy, but it's not something that you want to ideally go to if you don't have a whole history of training and using those shoes. If you want to be able to run long distance in a minimalist shoe, it is important that you take it slowly, gradually, and build that conditioning over time. But for me, this is a great choice. It's something that gives me the ability to improve my running form, especially get stronger, especially through those lower extremities, and actually give me really good bang for buck when I'm doing my training, getting me to develop some bounce in my step through my body, not from my equipment. So let's take a look at this shoe. Now, this one has a lot of cushioning underfoot, that sole really thick, really juicy, and every time I hit the ground, it really takes a lot of that impact and makes it really soft under my feet. Now, this is not a great one if I want to improve my conditioning, if I want to improve my bounce in my step via my body and development and strength and conditioning, but it is a great one that I go to, especially on a recovery run or on a day where I'm feeling really, really lethargic or tired in the legs. Because what will happen then if I'm feeling very, very tired and my legs are really heavy, I'll hit the ground harder. And on those days, it's not so important for me to try and develop fitness, especially on a recovery run day. It's important just to keep things ticking over and reduce the risk of injury. So this is a great one that I go to, especially when I need that extra little bit of protection. Again, it's not something that I want to go to if I'm trying to get fitter, stronger, and improve my running form. And then we move up to one of the high performer shoes. So this isn't top notch, this is the Magic Speed. And you've also got the Metaspeed Sky, which is the absolute top-notch performance shoe. Now this one is a little bit lower down. Now what I want to show you is how stiff that is. If I try and bend that, it doesn't bend whatsoever. And the reason that is because it has a carbon plate underneath it. Now what that carbon plate does, it helps give me a little bit more spring and propels me forward as my foot hits the ground. A great performance shoe, great for racing, great for also getting into your race specific phase. So those final bunch of weeks before your race and getting used to that propelling of the forward of the carbon plate, getting used to that feeling underfoot. So this is a great shoe. I'll generally use this for a long run day, especially in those last month to sort of 4 to 6 weeks leading into a major race. And that way it's just, again, just conditioning myself to get ready to use it. Now, a lot of people I find wear carbon plates in their shoes that they run for tempo runs or speed development runs. Again, if you rewind to what we talked about before in the general trainer, when we're doing our speed sessions, when we're doing our hard efforts, our sprints, all that sort of stuff, we're trying to maximize the gains in training, right? Now, if we're using equipment and essentially cheating our way through that session just because we want to keep up with the pace or we want to hit our targets, it's not necessarily getting the strength and conditioning that you desire to be able to develop that actual strength and conditioning that's going to help you for your performance on race day. So when it comes to your speed development stuff, my highest recommendation, if you want to get the most out of your training, is to stay away from carbon plated shoes and only use them in that race specific block leading into your races to get used to it, and obviously on race day itself. And this one here is the top of the notch racing performance shoe. Now this is the one that I'll use on race day only. Sometimes I'll use these in the last 1 to 2 weeks, and just to obviously break them in a little bit if I've got some brand new shoes, and obviously get used to what it feels like to run in these shoes again leading into a major race. I'll also use these sometimes in that last final 4 to 6 weeks as my run off the bike. So if I'm preparing for a triathlon and I've got a run off the bike brick session that I'm doing, I'll throw an old pair of these on in those final few weeks, again, just to condition my body, understand what it feels like again, get comfortable with them and make sure they're all good. Again, the reason I don't want to use these in training is not only for the performance gains. So again, it's just basically a way of cheating in your training, isn't it? It's giving you extra bounce and spring in your step. It's taking some cushioning off your landing, making you run faster. And what we're trying to achieve in training is improving our fitness and conditioning, right? So stay away from these in training. And this is a massive one that I see all the time. Another reason we don't want to use these in training all the time as well is because they have such a short lifespan. They don't last very long, maybe 200-300 kilometers at max. And if you think about that, if you go run 40, 50 Ks a week, they're done in about 4 to 5 weeks. Don't use these unless you're racing or preparing for a race in those final blocks to get used to them. Now, another important issue here with performance shoes and shoes that really take a lot of that cushioning is we're starting to see a lot of research now about the injuries that are coming from it. Now, think about it like this. If we go barefoot running, when we hit the ground, we don't slam it into the ground, do we? Because that would actually hurt. So when we run in barefoot, we actually brace ourselves a little bit more. We utilize our muscles, we change how we run just slightly, and that's just reduced the impact that our foot has hitting the floor and the effect that it has on our body. Now, if we start constantly relying on a shoe that has lots of cushioning and stops any of that kind of impact whatsoever, then we're suddenly fully relying on the shoe. And what happens is we start to get weaker and we start to lose the ability to take that impact ourselves. And here's another one. Now, when I'm looking for shoes, I'm wanting something that my foot can work fairly natural in, especially when I'm doing all my training. For me, a shoe like this where it's quite chunky, it's very stiff, it has a lot of stability. For me, this is a great shoe for doing my gym work in, not necessarily for doing my running and trying to develop my running. So for me, if it's a nice chunky shoe, it's a bit wide, it's a bit heavy, it's a bit hard. Again, for me, great shoe for gym work, not necessarily for me as a runner. So they're the types of shoes that I have. My everyday trainer for most days running, and I'll have a couple of pairs of these as well so I can rotate them. I'll have my cushioned shoe, which will help take a lot of that impact, especially on tired legs or recovery days. I've got my Magic Speed, which is the high performance shoe, which I'll bring in during those final stages of my race preparation. I've got my high performance racing shoe, which I'll wear for racing and race specific sessions in those final few weeks only. And then I've got my gym shoe. So 5 different types of shoes for all different types of runs or events that I'm doing. Now, one thing is also really important, and that's understanding that it takes time for a shoe to recover from a run. Now, what you have inside these soles is a whole heap of tiny little air bubbles. And every time we hit the ground, those air bubbles just slightly compress more and more and more for every impact. Now, over a run session, like, you're not going to completely flatten the sole, but you will lose the performance of that sole and the cushioning inside there. And it takes about 24 to 48 hours for all of those little air bubbles in there to fully decompress. And why is that important? Well, if we think about it, if we're running every day in the same shoes, compressing those little air bubbles, not ever giving them a chance to reset and recover, then all we're doing is compressing the shoe more and more and more, losing the protection, wearing the shoe out, but then also increasing the risk of injury from impact on your body. So the most important thing is that if you've chosen a great pair of shoes to run in each day, most days, get 2 pairs. Something like this is a nice cheap alternative, and you can buy 2 pairs of these for 1 pair of performance shoes. And that is going to be so much more beneficial for you, not only for your running performance, but also for reducing risk of injury and the lifespan of your shoes as well. Now, one other thing that really reduces the lifespan of your shoes is overusing them. Now, we talked about the lifespan of a shoe. So a high performance shoe maybe lasts 200 to 300 kilometers, and a general trainer maybe 600 to 800 kilometers. But just remember, it's not just counting the running, it's counting its whole use. So let's think about this. If we're at home, we put our shoes on, we walk out, we go jump in the car, we drive to the run session, we go for the run, and then we go to coffee or go shopping afterwards in the same shoes. We're quickly reducing the lifespan of our shoes. So best thing to do, have a few different pairs of shoes. Have a couple of different pairs of everyday trainers that you can rotate each day and only use them for running. Then have a general pair of trainers that you can wear for shopping, for coffee, for heading to your run, finishing your run, and all those other little bits and pieces. Don't wear your running shoes for everyday use because you're only going to reduce the lifespan. And then you're gonna have to keep buying more and more pairs of shoes, which is not really a bad thing, is it? So look after your shoes because they look after you. It helps you perform, helps you reduce the risk of injury, and that helps you stay more consistent and get more out of your running. And overall, that just equals happier, healthier runner. Now, one thing that's super important is understanding that if you've had a history of injury, if you're going through injury itself, or have anything that affects your ability to run freely and strongly, well, it's really important that you head to the absolute specialists to talk about your body needs. So if that's something to support your ankles, if it's something to take impact off your body while you're trying to rehab. Now, this is stuff that you want to work with your physio or your doctor or your podiatrist, anyone like that. It's really important that you understand what your body needs as well before listening to any of this advice. So always check in with your healthcare professional for that. Now, one thing that you might hear a lot of in terms of running form is something called a heel strike. Now, a heel strike is where the heel taps down first and then it rolls to the toe. That's what we call a heel striker. So when we walk, we heel strike. So what we really need when we walk is that nice chunky cushioning under the heel. Now, what tends to happen is when people don't really get any help with their running form and they don't know any better, they'll just generally do the same thing when they run. The foot will hit the ground, slam the heel into the ground, and then roll through to the toes. And generally you see this most commonly in people who overstride, where their foot hits the ground out in front of their knee. This is not an ideal way to run. If you do run like this, and you run like this for a specific reason, it could be a mobility issue or something to do with your body, that's absolutely fine. Again, work with those specialists that we talked about, but what you really need in a shoe is something that can protect your heel. So if you're a heel striker, that foot slams into the ground, and you go for a shoe that's minimalist, where it only has a little bit of sole under the heel all the way through to the toe, it's not going to give you the protection that you need. So either fix your running form or choose the right shoe that's best for you. Now, if you are one of those runners and your body's completely fine, but you still just overstride and that foot hits out in front of the ground, you slam the heel into the ground first, what I'd highly recommend is just taking smaller, quicker steps. Ideally, you want your foot to land underneath your knee on impact. And then that way, you're not going to slam your heel into the ground, which is going to reduce the impact on your body. It's also going to take off the brakes, but then also make you a much more economical runner, because you'll start to get a little bit more bounce in your step as well. And this means that you're going to run faster for longer, more consistently. And of course, if you want some help with that, if you want some help with your running technique, you can always just send through a video to me and I'll take a quick look and give you some pointers. So when it comes to shoes, make sure that your shoes, they fit your foot properly. They are right for your running style. They're right for your body needs. And they're also the right shoes for the training that you're doing, because your shoes are tools. And if you use the wrong tool for the wrong job, you're either going to get injured or stop seeing improvement. Feel free to subscribe for some more smart educational content, and Of course, if you want some help, just reach out, comment below, and I'll reach out and we'll chat. But for now, stay happy, stay healthy, and get out there training. Ugh.